One of the greatest mistakes that causes people to take you lightly is the absence of personal boundaries. Many individuals believe that being constantly available, endlessly agreeable, and perpetually accommodating will earn them love, approval, and opportunity. But what it often earns is familiarity without honor. And familiarity, when unmanaged, can quietly erase respect. When you do not define the lines in your life, people will draw them for you, and they will rarely draw them in your favor. Every human being teaches others how to treat them. Not with speeches, not with demands, but with patterns. If you answer every call at any hour, people will assume your time is not valuable. If you allow people to speak to you in tones that diminish you and you remain silent, they will assume you are comfortable being diminished. If you continually sacrifice your priorities to fix everyone else's emergencies, they will learn that your goals can wait. Boundaries are not about pushing people away. They are about positioning yourself correctly. They are about understanding that your time, your energy, your mind, and your emotional space are precious resources. And anything precious must be protected. Think about it in practical terms. A bank does not leave its vault open to prove it is generous. A museum does not remove its security to prove it welcomes visitors. Protection does not reduce value, it confirms value. In the same way, when you protect your time and standards, you are not being difficult, you are declaring worth. Many people struggle with boundaries because they fear rejection. They fear that if they say no, they will lose relationships. But what kind of relationship survives only on your exhaustion? What kind of friendship requires your silence to continue? If someone can only stay in your life while crossing your lines, then the problem is not your boundary, it is their entitlement. There is data to support this reality. Studies in workplace psychology consistently show that employees who clearly communicate their limits and expectations experience lower burnout and higher professional respect. When people understand what is acceptable and what is not, interactions become healthier and more productive. Clarity reduces confusion, and confusion is often the birthplace of disrespect. Let us bring it closer to home. Imagine someone who constantly makes jokes at your expense in social settings. The first time you laugh it off. The second time you smile awkwardly. The third time it becomes a pattern. Why? Because silence communicates consent. What you tolerate repeatedly becomes the new normal. You must understand something deeply. You cannot complain about a behavior you continuously permit. Boundaries require courage. It takes strength to say, I'm not comfortable with that. It takes maturity to say, I cannot commit to this right now. It takes confidence to say, please do not speak to me that way. But every time you exercise that courage, you reinforce your self-respect. And self-respect is magnetic. When you respect yourself, your posture changes. Your tone changes. Your decisions change. You no longer seek approval at the expense of peace. You no longer confuse availability with loyalty. You no longer equate exhaustion with love. Some people wear overextension like a badge of honor. They boast about how busy they are, how tired they are, how much they sacrifice. But exhaustion is not evidence of importance. Sometimes it is evidence of poor boundaries. You were not designed to be everything to everyone. You were designed with purpose, and purpose requires focus. Focus requires discipline. And discipline requires boundaries. There is a powerful shift that happens when you begin to honor your own limits. People may resist at first. They may question your change. They may say you've changed. And you can calmly reply, yes, I have grown. Growth always disrupts comfort, especially for those who benefited from your lack of boundaries. But over time, something remarkable occurs. People adjust. They begin to schedule properly. They speak more carefully. They value your availability because it is no longer unlimited. Scarcity increases perceived value. When your time is intentional, it becomes meaningful. Boundaries also protect your vision. Every time you say yes to something misaligned, you say no to something essential. Every unnecessary obligation steals energy from your assignment. You cannot fulfill your highest calling while constantly repairing preventable chaos. Listen carefully. Love without boundaries becomes manipulation. They shout amen to prophetic words, yet live. Service without boundaries becomes slavery. Kindness without boundaries becomes self-neglect. You deserve relationships where respect flows naturally, not relationships where you must shrink to survive. The moment you stop apologizing for having standards, the world begins to recalibrate around you. The moment you refuse to entertain disrespect, disrespect decreases. The moment you honor your time, others begin to honor it too. You are not required to be harsh. You are required to be clear. And clarity is one of the highest forms of self-love. When you leave here, do not think of boundaries as barriers. Think of them as foundations. They hold your life steady. They protect your peace. They preserve your purpose. And they teach the world a powerful lesson without shouting a single word, I know my worth. Another mistake that causes people to take you lightly is inconsistency in your character and performance. Nothing weakens your influence more than unpredictability in your standards. When your words are strong today but weak tomorrow, when your discipline is present one week and absent the next, when your commitment depends on your mood, you quietly erode the confidence others place in you. Respect is built on reliability. People do not measure you by your potential. They measure you by your patterns. You may be gifted, intelligent, creative, and full of ideas, but if those qualities appear only occasionally, they lose their power. Talent without consistency becomes entertainment, but talent with discipline becomes authority. Think about the sun. It rises every day. It does not negotiate with the clouds. It does not skip mornings because it feels tired. Its consistency is what gives life structure. Farmers plant crops because they trust the rhythm of the seasons. Businesses operate because they trust predictable systems. Trust is born from repetition. In the same way, when people know they can depend on you, that your word is stable, that your effort is steady, that your standards do not fluctuate, they begin to take you seriously. Research in behavioral psychology shows that consistency in behavior is one of the strongest predictors of trust in relationships and leadership. People feel secure around individuals whose actions align with their promises. Alignment creates confidence. Confidence creates respect. But inconsistency creates doubt. Imagine a colleague who promises to deliver projects on time but repeatedly misses deadlines. At first, others offer understanding. Then they begin to double-check. Eventually, they stop assigning responsibility altogether. Not because the person lacks intelligence, but because they lack reliability. Or consider someone who speaks passionately about their dreams, starting a business, writing a book, improving their health, but never follows through. After a while, people stop engaging in the conversation. The dream loses credibility because action never follows intention. Your future is not built on what you announce. It is built on what you repeat. Many people are addicted to inspiration but allergic to discipline. They love the excitement of new beginnings but resist the routine of steady progress. Yet greatness is not dramatic. It is daily. It is the quiet decision to show up when applause is absent. It is the commitment to excellence when no one is watching. You cannot demand to be taken seriously if you treat your own responsibilities casually. Consistency also applies to character. If you are respectful one day and dismissive the next, kind in public but harsh in private, principled when convenient but compromising under pressure, people will struggle to define you. And when they cannot define you, they cannot fully trust you. Character is proven under repetition. Integrity is not tested once, it is tested continuously. The small promises you keep shape the big responsibilities you are given. When you say, "I will be there," and you are there, you deposit trust. When you complete tasks without being chased, you deposit trust. When your behavior matches your values, you deposit trust. And trust accumulates interest. Over time, consistent behavior creates a reputation. But reason with limitation. They shout amen to prophetic words, yet live. And reputation speaks before you enter the room. It determines whether your name carries weight or doubt. It influences whether opportunities come toward you or pass you by. Some people wonder why they are overlooked for leadership roles. Often it is not because they lack skill. It is because leadership requires predictability. People must know that under pressure you will remain steady. That when challenges arise you will not disappear. That when decisions must be made you will not retreat. Consistency communicates maturity. It says you can rely on me. It says my emotions do not control my commitments. It says my standards are not seasonal. There will be days you feel unmotivated. There will be days you feel misunderstood. There will be days you question whether your effort matters. But discipline is choosing alignment with your purpose over alignment with your feelings. Feelings fluctuate. Purpose remains. When you commit to consistent growth, something powerful happens. Your confidence increases. You no longer depend on external validation because you see your own progress. You trust yourself. And when you trust yourself, others sense that stability. You must decide that your word means something, that your time is honored, that your assignments are handled with excellence, even in small matters. Because small disciplines shape large destinies. The world takes seriously those who take their own commitments seriously. If you want to elevate how others perceive you, elevate how you manage yourself. Show up prepared, finish what you start. Speak less about your plans and demonstrate more through your actions. Over time, people will adjust their expectations. They will listen more closely. They will assign greater responsibility. Not because you demanded it, but because you earned it. Consistency transforms potential into proof, and proof commands respect. Perhaps the most dangerous mistake that causes people to take you lightly is the habit of undervaluing your own voice. When you constantly minimize your ideas, soften your convictions, and shrink your presence to make others comfortable, you silently train the world to overlook you. And what you repeatedly diminish, others will eventually dismiss. Your voice is not just sound, it is the expression of your identity. It carries your perspective, your experience, your insight, your creativity. When you withhold it out of fear, insecurity, or the desire to be accepted, you do not protect yourself, you reduce yourself. Many people confuse humility with invisibility. Humility is strength under control. Invisibility is strength under suppression. There is a difference. Think about how often you have sat in a room with an idea in your mind but hesitation in your heart. You rehearsed the sentence silently. You questioned whether it was good enough. You waited for the right moment, and before that moment came, someone else spoke, sometimes saying something similar, and received the recognition you desired. It was not that you lacked intelligence, it was that you lacked expression. Studies in social psychology consistently show that individuals who communicate assertively are perceived as more competent and credible than those who communicate passively. Assertiveness is not aggression, it is clarity without apology. It is confidence without hostility. It is the ability to say, "This is what I think," without trembling under the weight of other opinions. When you begin every statement with excessive apologies, "This might be silly, I'm probably wrong," but you weaken your own message before anyone else can evaluate it. You frame your contribution as insignificant, and over time people accept the frame you provide. Your posture speaks, your tone speaks, your eye contact speaks. Even your silence speaks. If your body language communicates doubt, your audience will feel it before they hear your words. There are countless examples in professional environments where two individuals possess equal skill, yet one advances faster. Often the difference lies not in ability but in visibility. The one who articulates ideas clearly, who volunteers for responsibility, who communicates with steady conviction, becomes associated with leadership. The other remains capable but unseen. Visibility is not vanity. It is stewardship of your potential. When you shrink, you do not serve others, you deprive them. Your perspective might be the missing piece in a conversation. Your insight might prevent a costly mistake. Your courage might inspire someone else to step forward. But if you silence yourself, the contribution dies within you. And understand this, people rarely promote what they rarely hear. Confidence is developed through practice, not perfection. You do not wait until you feel fearless to speak. You speak until fear loses its authority over you. The first few times your voice may shake. That is not weakness. That is growth. Strength is not the absence of nerves. It is movement despite them. There is also the internal dialogue you must confront. Many people disqualify themselves before anyone else has the chance. They think, "I'm not experienced enough. Others are smarter. What if I embarrass myself?" But those thoughts are not facts. They are fears. And fear magnifies risk while minimizing potential. You must replace internal doubt with intentional affirmation. Remind yourself that your experiences are unique. No one else sees the world exactly as you do. That perspective has value. Consider how innovation often begins. Someone observes a problem others ignore. They speak up about it. They suggest a different approach. At first, resistance appears. But persistence combined with clarity eventually shifts perception. History repeatedly shows that progress is driven by individuals who refuse to silence their convictions. When you honor your voice, you also strengthen your self-respect. You stop seeking permission to exist fully. You stop measuring your worth by external reactions. You begin to operate from internal assurance. And something powerful happens when you speak with grounded confidence. The room adjusts. People lean in. Conversations shift. Your words carry weight, not because you are loud, but because you are certain. Certainty attracts attention. You do not need to dominate every discussion, but you must refuse to disappear within it. When you enter a space, enter with awareness that you belong there. When you contribute, do so with clarity. When you disagree, do so respectfully but firmly. Your life is too significant to be lived in a whisper. If you continually silence your ideas, others will assume you have none. If you constantly defer your opinions, others will assume you lack them. But when you stand with composure and express yourself with intention, you reshape how people perceive you. You teach them that your thoughts matter, that your insight has substance, that your presence is not accidental. And once the world recognizes that you recognize your own value, the dynamic changes. Conversations shift from ignoring you to consulting you. Opportunities move from passing by to knocking directly at your door. Honor your voice, strengthen it, use it, because when you stop minimizing yourself, you stop giving others permission to minimize you.